Hello and welcome to Mr. I'll tell you what, let me switch on the new studio lighting that I've purchased thanks to my wonderful patrons. Isn't that better? Let's try that again. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Mr. Sensible. There's a creator who said that he would produce an undebunkable video for me, but I've been waiting for a couple months, so I decided just to jump into his channel, pick one of his videos and debunk the hell out of it. First, big thanks to my patrons. With massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons Alice Vangstrom, John Roswell, TechBlog, Pyro Kitty Cat, Claire Johnson, Mr. Victory and Brian A. Shannon, and my latest patrons Pi Parrot, Gunnar Olsen and Sean White. Thank you all so very much. So who is this genius who feels that he can produce a video that's undebunkable? Well, it's none other than our old friend MultiTOmtOm. So, as I said, I've picked one of his videos. I think we should see how he does. Roll VT.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of planet Earth, its billionaire mission to fuck up man's mind.
Well, MultiTOmtOm, you almost had me fooled. I could have sworn that was one of the Enterprise crew speaking at first. Anyway, I had forgotten how slow you are, and I'm not talking about the gigantic intellectual capacity of yourself, but of your speed of talking. So I will be editing out rather a lot of silences just so that one of us doesn't die before the end of the video. Carry on.
Seriously though, space belongs in science fiction, not fact. We have all been brought up to believe in a fake cosmology.
No, I think you'll find that we were all taught science and details about the universe, and some of us just don't grasp it.
The ever-expanding universe, created from a Big Bang. But what caused it to explode?
Well, possibly boredom, and possibly it just wanted to create all those stars and planets and have life evolve and develop until we reach the peak with a person such as your good self.
Where did this atom come from? Was it just happened to float in space or nothingness?
Well, right now science would have to say we don't know.
This explosion then spontaneously created billions of galaxies.
Well, not straight away. The universe had to cool quite a lot, and then all the matter had to coalesce. But eventually, yes, all the galaxies developed.
Billions and trillions of stars, and therefore possibility of billions of planets.
My God, MultiTOmtOm, you actually got something right.
What if it's the complete opposite of this?
Go on.
What if the Earth is an enclosed system?
You're talking about a dome, aren't you? That's not what is normally meant by an enclosed or an open system, but a dome.
All the evidence is pointing to this fact.
Well, I've seen this evidence, and there's none, and I counted it twice to be sure. Perhaps you're going to show us some? Maybe?
The simple fact of the matter is that gas has to be contained.
You've seen an Anthony Riley video, haven't you? And you didn't even understand the crap he was talking about. Gas doesn't have to be contained. It has to be contained to have gas pressure, but it doesn't have to be contained, and it doesn't have to be contained to have atmospheric pressure either. But I think that perhaps that's getting a bit beyond you.
This fact alone blows the heliocentric model out into outer space.
Hold on a minute. It blows out into space. Into this space that's fake, that doesn't exist.
Then the astronomers ask, have you ever looked at a planet through a telescope?
Something tells me, MultiTOmtOm, that the answer is not yes, and you have never looked at a planet through a telescope.
When you look at the night sky, you will see lights of different shapes and sizes.
Well, depending on the time, you may see the moon. If you've got a good enough view, you'll see some smudges of light of distant galaxies. All the stars will just appear as points of light. Most of the planets will just appear as points of light unless your scope is powerful enough. One or two of the planets you may just see a small disk, but you don't get much variation beyond that.
You would only equate a light to a planet because somebody told you it's a planet.
Well, the major and nearer planets, such as Venus, Mars and Jupiter, are easy to see, and they're very bright, a lot brighter than stars. And if you look at them over a few nights, you'll notice that they have moved.
You presuppose what you're seeing is a planet. Planets do not exist.
Well, me old China, you're going to need a bit of evidence for that. I have looked at Jupiter with binoculars, and over several hours and days, you can see the rotation of the moons around it. Planets exist, okay, and we've known about it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
They are simply wandering stars.
Well, to the naked eye, those major planets do look like stars, bright stars, and they do move, hence wandering. The word planet means wandering stars, but they are not stars, and nobody other than yourself thinks that they are.
They are simply wandering stars, meaning they have retrograde motion.
That's not what it means, and you've got no idea at all what retrograde motion means, do you, MultiTOmtOm?
There is absolutely no evidence that these planets are terra firma and you can go and visit and set up colonies there. That is all science fiction.
Well, we won't be able to set up colonies on planets like Jupiter, for instance, which is a gas giant, but a planet like Mars, it's a possibility. Right now it's science fiction, but then so was going to the moon, and before that so was launching into space. So was your mobile phone. Lots of things start off as science fiction, but we do know that the rocky planets are rocky. We can use and calculate their orbits and the way they behave due to their mass, so that we know that they are solid.
We are not moving through space.
Oh God, not again.
Logic dictates that if we are moving, then we should see different stars and different constellations each night.
Well, that's one up on the other flat earthers. They often claim we should see the stars move, but you think we actually see different stars and different constellations of stars every night? You have absolutely no concept whatsoever of the scale of the universe. None. Absolutely none.
There is no parallax.
Well, MultiTOmtOm, yet another word you don't understand. Parallax. It's very real, and we've used it to calculate the distance to the nearest stars. If you take an image of one of those nearest stars and look at the background stars, and then 6 months later, when we've moved halfway round the orbit of the Sun, look at the same star again, the background stars have shifted slightly. And with some clever maths, we managed to calculate the distance.
We have been observing the same stars for millennia, if not more.
Yes, it's the same stars, but they have and are moving. It's just that they're so far away that the movement is minuscule. However, some stars have motion that can be measured in more sensible timescales, like this Barnard's star, the star with the greatest proper motion across the sky. Here is a stacked image over several years that shows how it has moved. So, another big fail there, TomTom.
If you are a rational human being, you must by now accept that the moon landings were one of the biggest psyop by a government in history.
If you're a rational human being, I think you'll have realised by now that MultiTOmtOm doesn't know jack shit.
If the moon landings were real, then there wouldn't be any discrepancies with film footage and photos.
There aren't. Every single discrepancy that's been raised has been explained and debunked.
They would be real and would have no flaws. This photo debunks the moon landings.
Go on. Let's see if we can debunk you.
Look at the moon buggy. Look how big it is. Even if they fold it and put it into that contraption, do you think there will be any room for two men?
The buggy goes in the bottom. You can't judge the scale, the size of that lem, because there's nothing to compare it to. It's very misleading on the moon. And just to clear it up for you, it was 2 men that went down to the moon each time. So how did they fit it in? Yes, it folded, just like in this image here. Very clever, isn't it? And it packs down quite nicely, but it's still quite big. But now compare it to the size of the lem, when you can see the actual scale.
I don't think so. Look at the lander. It looks like it's made of cardboard and tin foil.
All that is just shielding and shading. The actual guys were inside a pressurized sphere within the lem.
This wouldn't have been scrutinized this close in the 1960s and 1970s because they didn't have the technology. Today, with high definition software, we can debunk the moon landings very, very easily.
Ah, high definition software. Well, we've yet to see the moon landings actually debunked, with or without high definition software.
What's wrong with this picture? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. This is a view of Earth from the cupola of the ISS. It's made of glass. Glass is a big problem in space. They tell us that that space is a dangerous environment because of micrometeorites.
It is dangerous, which is why they need so much very expensive equipment that requires lots and lots of testing, and hence why NASA has such a humongous budget.
They tell us that sand-sized particles of space debris are flying about at breakneck speeds of hundreds of thousands of miles per hour.
Well, 2 or 3 tens of thousands of miles per hour, maybe.
And can destroy man-made vehicles. Yet they have glass in space. This is unbelievable.
Well, MultiTOmTOm, you may not believe it, but then you don't know anything about it, do you? You didn't do any research, did you? The windows of the cupola can be covered by external shields. What's more, each window is made of 4 layers. An inner layer to protect against any scratching, 2 pressure layers, and an outer layer to protect against micrometeoroids. And each of those 4 layers is made of bulletproof glass. If you're going to make these claims, try looking up and finding out what you're actually debunking first.
Also, the vast vacuum of space will exert tremendous amount of pressure onto this glass.
No, MultiTOmTOm, space is a vacuum. A vacuum does not exert any sort of force. The only force on that glass is the force of the air pressure within the ISS, and that is 14.7 psi, which is the same as at sea level. Now, you think of your bicycle. The air in the tyres of a bicycle are approximately 50 psi, or in your car tyre, 30 to 40. And those tyres have no problem containing the pressure. And in the case of the windows and the cupola on the ISS, we've already established it's got 2 pressure layers of bulletproof glass.
If you believe in gravity, then the gravitational pull of the Earth is pulling the vehicle one way towards the Earth, and the more powerful gravitational pull of the Sun is pulling it the other way towards the Sun. So where is the equilibrium? This is complete horseradish.
Yes, MultiTOmtOm, I think you are talking complete horseradish. Now, it's true, the sun does exert a gravitational pull on the ISS, but it's minuscule. Gravity works depending on the masses involved and how far apart they are. The ISS is only a couple of 100 miles up, so it's very, very close to the Earth. That's where the majority of the pull is. The distance to the sun, at 93 million miles away, means there's virtually no pull by the sun.
Then some people quite rightly ask, why would the space agencies, therefore the governments, spend so much money on deceiving the world? Why would they do this? That is a valid point. That is a good question and deserves an answer.
Yes, it is a good question. And that's something that we keep asking you flirfs time and time again. You keep claiming that NASA and that are hiding the truth and spending all this money, but you've never explained why they would do this.
You have to remember that these governments, they print the money. Money is nothing but a tool to these governments. And they have made a decision long ago to push the heliocentric model. And they have to push it right to the end, unless, of course, they change their minds and tell the truth for once.
And that's it. So the reason they're lying and hiding the truth is they decided to push a heliocentric model, so they'll keep pushing a heliocentric model unless they decide to change their mind. Well, that makes sense. TomTom, you have told us absolutely nothing, and that which you did tell us, you got wrong. I'm still waiting for this undebunkable video that you promised me. Please, please, please do it, and do it soon. But when you do it, do us a favour. Go through it and snip out all your pregnant pauses. It will save me a lot of work. I'm about to go back through this video that I've just recorded and cut out all your silences, and it will save me a grand total of... So please be kind and edit it out beforehand. I hope you all enjoyed it. See you next time. Until then, stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.